Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is turning into a little bit of a blowout here with Trump going up significantly in terms of the poly market. Look at this. This is a massive gain for Trump. He's up by about a little bit over 6% over Harris. And really, in the span of a week, Harris was up by 1.5, 2. At a certain point, Harris was up by 6. That was about 2.5 weeks ago. Now Trump has flipped it, and he's up by 6 in the betting. The real question is, will he be able to maintain this lead? Will it get closer? Guys, like I always say with Polymarket, it ebbs and it flows, but this is a self-correction based on polling data and the way that Trump's been polled in the past. If you've got Real Clear Politics right now saying that it's tied, we would expect Trump, because of the way he's overperformed in 2016 and 2020, not even needing to rely on that big of a polling error. But even if he got a little bit of a polling error, like 1.5 to 2 points, Trump wins the election easily. Even without a polling error, according to Real Clear Politics, you could argue that Trump is up at around 287 electoral votes right now because of the positive movement in a state like Pennsylvania. We're also seeing great movement in Wisconsin, Michigan. Now you're starting to see the effects of an Arizona lean heavily towards Trump. People are factoring all that in. Look at the recent boom. This is a boom for Trump right here over the past, few days, honestly. Look at this. This is even the past day, Trump's gone up significantly. At a certain point, Trump was up by about 9. He's just crushing Harris over the past 2 or 3 days. He went from being down by 2, now he's up by 6 or 7. It's a 9-point swing, and it's based off a number of things. Arizona looks like a strong Trump state right now. Georgia is looking better for Trump. North Carolina is looking good for Trump, so much so liberals are trying to use the whole hurricane and say, oh, it's destroyed their infrastructure, they're not going to be able to vote for Trump. That's how desperate they've gotten. This is all amazing news for Trump, and he's up. When you're up in Georgia like he is, when you're up in Arizona like he is, when you're up in North Carolina like he is, he's already going to win Florida. He's already going to win Ohio. He's making Virginia close, and there's more great early vote data on Virginia. There's no path. She's shut out. She needs all the Rust Belt. And she also needs, I think, Nevada at that point to win the election. But to me, this is just amazing, amazing news with all of these states. If you take a look at the swing state markets, and you can see at this point, Trump the favorite in Pennsylvania. He's been trending recently. He's been going up. He's at around a 12-point advantage in Pennsylvania over the past week. It went from a Democrat lead of 1 to Trump now up by around 12 to 13 in the state of Pennsylvania. And we got more great voter registration data with Republicans gaining. The Democratic voter registration is down to 325K. You might say, oh, that's a lot. No, remember in 2020 when it was 800K, Republicans only lost the election by 80K votes. Now it's been more than cut in half, and it keeps going down. The voter registration difference in Pennsylvania keeps going down even as we get closer to the election. They kept saying, well, Democrats, they'll start registering more, even though Republicans have made up so much. It's not happening. Republicans are still trimming more and more and more into that lead in Pennsylvania. You look at Michigan, Trump cutting into the lead here. It's getting very, very close. It's been around a 4 or 5 point lead in terms of the betting in Michigan the past few days, but there's been reports out of Michigan. The Senate race is within 2 points. Trump normally outperforms the Republican senators in terms of polls. If Rogers loses Michigan by 2, Trump probably wins the state by about half a point, but I also think Rogers might perform even better than that. You've also got North Carolina. Trump now starting to open up a big lead in North Carolina, 20-point advantage, 60% chance to win the state over the last month. You can see it kind of got cut a little bit, but Trump has maintained a solid lead in terms of the betting in North Carolina. He's up by about 1.5 points in terms of the polls in North Carolina, and the polls, I believe, were pretty accurate in the state. Oh, no, they weren't. No, they had Biden up in North Carolina. Trump ended up winning, but Trump's won the state in 2020 and 2016. The lead was closer in 2016, but the environment says that, you can see Harris has kind of cut into this a little bit. Forget about the colors. Trump is the blue in this, obviously the Republican, but the colors are off. But you can see it looked like Harris was cutting into it. Trump's kind of, we just over the past few days, we've seen this push. I don't know if it's because of the Butler rally. I don't know if it's because of Elon, but in all of these states, we're seeing this Republican surge. And I think it's a self-correction based off of people understanding how wrong the polls have been in terms of Trump in 2016 and 2020. And they're saying, listen, we have to factor that in Fool me once, fool me twice, fool me three times. I mean, this is ridiculous. They've been so wrong. And these piss poor polls that have way overestimated Hillary in 2016, Biden in 2020, they're still getting grades of A+ when you look at weighted models, which makes absolutely no sense. And that's why those models are going to be wrong. You've also got Arizona. Trump is just blowing her out in Arizona now. 67% chance in the state. And it's moved, it looks like 3 or 4 points recently. I mean, it's every one of these states, it's shifting. Every single one. Wisconsin is shifting as well. Wisconsin is down to around a 3-point lead for Harris. This is a boom, and it's not surprising because MSNBC was reporting they're like, oh, we got to unleash Tim Walz. Tim Walz now going on Fox News. They're doing things completely different. And you can tell there has to be at least a little bit of panic that is setting in with all of these states shifting. The whales realize it. They understand. You look at Georgia. Georgia is still Republican. This one really hasn't done much recently, but still a nice Republican lean, around a 63% chance for Trump. He's up by a solid, 15, 20% there. And you also are looking at Nevada, which is the state that Harris has received good polling in recently. Even Nevada really isn't shifting with the recent Harris polling. It's still basically a toss-up. Harris at around a 50. Remember, Nevada is the least important swing state based off of electoral votes. So, and also the fact that we think Trump's going to get Arizona anyway. So these are really, really good numbers for Trump. And I mean, this is a combination of everything. It's the Butler rally. Now Harris is going on all these liberal shows. They're not going to help her at all. It's just an echo chamber, and it's only going to help Trump expand his lead. And my goodness, to see this right now, a little less than, looks like a month before the election on October 7th, this is really, really amazing stuff. The fact that Trump is up by this much. You've got YouGov. Remember, I mean, they were very liberal in 2020. They were the 4th worst pollster according to accuracy. And they now have switched it from a Harris +4 in their last poll to a tie. The general election popular vote now tied according to YouGov, the Yahoo poll. And so you have that. So that's a shift of around 4. It's pretty crazy. Trump's lead is up to 8.5, nearing his biggest lead since Kamala Harris entered the race with the election in around 29 days. Trump up 3.5% within the last day on Polymarket, the betting site. You have Georgia a strong lead. You've got Arizona a strong lead. You've got North Carolina a strong lead. Pennsylvania is starting to shift, just like we expected. Everything with Pennsylvania signals a Trump victory. 100,000 people in Butler coming back to the site. He should have died. He turned his head. I mean, it makes total sense. There's no way he can lose Pennsylvania, almost being killed in the state, returning with Elon Musk with 100,000 people. What a crazy rally and a crazy situation. And people are starting to understand she's not going to win Pennsylvania. And that's a huge, huge problem because she can still technically win without Pennsylvania, but it gets extremely, extremely challenging. She would obviously have to win Wisconsin, Michigan. Then she would have to look at North Carolina, Georgia. I think they've given up Arizona at this point. I think you could say Arizona is going to be a Trump state. I would certainly say like an 80% chance, maybe even more. Maybe that's a little bit too conservative. No pun intended. But either way, this is, I mean, I did not expect a swing like this. This is a big swing in basically every state outside of Nevada is swinging to Trump. And Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania are now Trump leans according to the betting. Wisconsin is basically a pure 50-50 toss-up. Michigan is basically a pure 50-50 toss-up. Nevada is basically a pure 50-50 toss-up. So you don't even need those 3 states because, you win Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania. You don't even need Arizona. You win Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, the election's over. But you get those 4, you get a very easy victory. Now you're starting to get around 287, 290 electoral votes, and you're looking at the other 2 Rust Belt states possibly taking those as well. Even if you don't win Nevada, that's 306. If you win Nevada, that's 312. So what we've seen, it's like something changed with that Butler rally. Going back to Butler, like something shifted here. And now Harris, and they're all nervous. They're all yelling at each other. Harris was pissed off that Biden spoke when she was speaking. She had a really small crowd at some rally and like 700 people. And she got pissed off. And her and Jill Biden are just so angry with each other, having a bitch fight. And so all of this is happening. And Trump is just, he has the huge rally in Butler. She could never draw that many people. That was such a emotional thing to return. It's like, how can Trump lose Pennsylvania? He can't. And the Democrats are starting to realize it. And so now, what is the Democrats' new path? Losing Arizona and losing Pennsylvania. You really think you're going to win Georgia again? Are you going to run up the ridiculous numbers in inner cities again in Georgia? What about North Carolina? You're going to win that state. Trump's won it 2 straight times. They're going to say, well, it was closer in 2020. But I think the polls say Trump's looking very good in North Carolina as well. So these polls are amazing. And Donald Trump right now, I would say, is a big favorite. You've also got this Scott Pressler, who did speak at the Butler rally in Pennsylvania. Republicans continue to gain. It's down to 325K lead, minus around 8,000. The last day to register in Pennsylvania is October 21st. That's pretty late. Here it's October, so it's today. So wow, they get 2 more weeks to register there. But either way, this is good news out of Pennsylvania for sure. There's just so much momentum in Pennsylvania right now for the Trump team. And it's looking very, very good. So guys, we'll have to see. But this, I mean, I was not expecting this type of movement, honestly. This movement is basically every single state outside of Nevada. This is the Trump surge that we were waiting for. We were waiting for the betting adjustment. There's really been no polls. It doesn't matter, because if you factor in 2020 and 2016, if Trump is basically tied right now based on how they ridiculously underestimated him both of those cycles, you would expect, and by the way, the polls that were very accurate are saying Trump is like Rasmussen, which was the 4th most accurate pollster in 2020. Liberals say, well, it's Republican bias. Yeah, that's fine. It was the 4th most accurate, and it overestimated Biden. Wait, then how is it Trump bias if it overestimated Biden? I still haven't heard a liberal explain that to me. No, it's just they're coping. So either way, guys, Trump, according to all the really accurate pollsters, he's even winning the popular vote. He might win the popular vote now. I wouldn't be surprised. I seriously wouldn't be. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.